Hey guys, I'm testing this out. I had it set up over on the other channel, and apparently I had screwed something up. So I'm going to get Matt over here to this one, and we can stream to Rumble. I had made a mistake whenever I was setting everything up and was only going to YouTube for some reason. And I'm going to give Matt a call and get him over here on this one. We can get this duct tape production going again. I sent you an invite. Go to your email. No, you're good. You've still been streaming, but just come over to this one. This one's streaming to Rumble. All right. Yeah, just end that stream, go into your email, and join the other one. I sent you a link to it. All right. Thanks. So apologize for that, folks. Matt should be here in just a minute. He was whenever I set this up, I didn't include something for Rumble, and I was not able to go back in and modify the one that was going live, and it starts streaming to Rumble. So I had to set up another one. It's a whole pain in the balls. But originally we were going to be doing a live stream with Trump. Matt called me today and said that Trump was going to be addressing the nation on some stuff, and we were going to do a live stream and go through that with you guys. But it was after I set the show up and everything, got to looking, that's happening tomorrow. So we had some stories set up anyway for the show. So we had a lot of things that came out this week that are really a lot of updates to stories we've covered off and on for the past 6 or 8 months or so. We've got, here's Matt. He just popped in. Let's see. All right. He should pop in here and just, there he is. Hey, Matt.
All right. How are you?
We're good. Sorry about that. No, you were talking to YouTube. You weren't talking to yourself. You were.
Okay.
You were talking. So, all right. There we are.
Yeah, I was going on about the corrupt Republicans in the Senate, how they're owned by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, military-industrial complex, big ag, big pharma, you name it, right? And how they're sticking it to Trump. Yeah, because those industries want Trump gone, and how they're sticking it to Trump by not approving, saying, "Oh, it's this blue slip bullshit that the Democrats would never honor," right? And not allowing Trump's nominees to go forward, which has put us into the precarious position in this James Comey case, right? With these corrupt judges who are now trying to toss all of the evidence against Jim Comey because the individual, the prosecuting attorney in that district, was a Trump appointee. So,
what they've done is they've got Lindsay Halligan, who was appointed as the U.S. attorney. They're now saying that her appointment was unconstitutional, and therefore those warrants were unconstitutional or illegal. It has to be destroyed. So they're trying to now.
You paused there. You paused there for a few moments, Stu.
Oh, okay. So they're saying that
this is going to be one of these nights. I just haven't.
It is. I'm in a hotel. Matt's in the Great White North with snowstorms and everything. So we're doing the best we can with what we have to work with. But yeah, so they're saying that this lady's appointment as Attorney General was unconstitutional. So therefore, the warrants that she served.
With that, what's the one thing we've never promised anybody that watches this goofy stream? What is the one thing we've never
any
promised?
Shape, or form, or professional production.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah. If you expect anything different, that's a mistake on your part. I'm sorry. That's on you.
That's on you. Not on us. That's exactly
buyer
right.
beware.
So, exactly.
Was it the caveat emptor? Buyer beware.
Yep. So go ahead. I didn't mean. Well, I did mean to interrupt you, but I didn't.
No. So, like we're saying, so basically they're saying because she was, quote unquote, unconstitutionally appointed, therefore the warrants and everything that were served and that were unconstitutional and violated this guy's Fourth Amendment rights. They've gone to some judge that's completely outside of the chain in an entirely other district to try, and it's a whole thing, but it's they're doing everything they can to protect Comey because they basically have the smoking gun where he was using this guy to leak material. They have the emails, they have the conversations, everything proving he lied to Congress, and they're doing everything they can to keep this smug piece of work out of prison or I don't know if he'd ever go to prison, but from having any sort of consequences for his action.
I would hope he would go to prison. You know which prison I would hope he'd go to. You know which one?
Absolutely. The federal pound me in the ass prison.
That's the exact prison where he belongs. Right?
Yep. But this judge has come out saying that because
put him in there with Letitia James. She'll violate him every way till Sunday.
But they've come out now saying that the FBI has to destroy their copies of this evidence. So how many of you would wager a bet that if the FBI destroys this evidence, that whenever they get this turned around, they get, some other judge with a brain in their head to be like, no, this is bullshit. How many of you think this evidence is still going to be around?
Yeah. Well, this is the problem.
If you do think that, I've got a bridge to sell you.
Well, we all want accountability. This isn't retribution. This is accountability. We all want account. And here's another thing. It's a side tangent. Did you see Susie Wiles, who's Pat Summerall's daughter, by the way, who's Trump's chief of staff? I think she should be fired for this, to be honest, but that's not my say. Why is she doing an interview with Vanity Fair? What? Tell me why Trump's chief of staff would give an interview to Vanity Fair magazine. Because this has created all sorts of bullshit, right? With things taken out of context. She said this. Now she said in that interview, apparently, that there's no evidence of Bill Clinton being on Epstein Island. That's what they're trying to. Why in the world would you do? And then that J.D. Vance was a conspiracy theorist. She said that too in here. Why would you be so if she's so stupid that she's going to go on to Vanity Fair and give them an interview and not know that they're going to twist things and lie and spin things that are not going to be favorable to you? They're going to be unfavorable to President Trump, Vice President Vance. Why would you do that? She's stupid. She's a liability. She needs to go. She needs to go.
Yeah, there's been, and I guess there's probably, it happens in all administrations. You have these unforced errors, but the other administrations have the benefit of the media covering for them. Mm-hmm. Trump doesn't have that luxury. Anything that they do that they can take and twist and exploit, they're going to. So that's why you see so much of this. You have all these other administrations do the same thing. They're people, they're human, they make mistakes, they do stupid shit, they say things that aren't articulated as clearly as they want them to. But Trump doesn't have the gracious media that's going to be like, oh no, we understand what he was trying to say. They're going the media for Trump is like, oh no, this is what we want him to be saying. This is what we want it to appear as though he's saying.
And I love the fact that Trump is loyal. Okay, I love it, right? Because that is an admirable characteristic, right? Okay, but if your chief of staff, who's supposed to be advising you on the best way to move forward, okay, doesn't have the wherewithal to understand that giving an interview to Vanity Fair magazine is only going to cause headaches for your boss, which is President Trump, and it's going to give the left a bunch of talking points, right? Why the fuck would you do it? That right there. What is her thought process to think that would have been a good idea? So is that same malfunction in the thought process behind other things that she's advising him on?
You're absolutely right. And it's with these same Republicans that they're constantly trying to go on MSNBC, or they're constantly trying to go to, like you said, Vanity Fair or whatever, as if anything they do is ever going to be given any sort of grace whatsoever. It's going to be absolutely manipulated. It's going to be dissected. It's going to be misquoted and attributed or attributed to whatever they can do to make them look as bad as they can. But 99% of the Republicans sitting in Washington, D.C., they're like freaking moths to a lamp. They can't help it, even though they get burned and zapped every time. They want so badly to be liked by the people, by the elites in D.C., the movers and shakers, that they're going to continue to run headfirst into that fire every single time.
There is one quick, and a side note, we want arrests, right? We want people to be held accountable. Mark Kelly, Senator Mark Kelly, because he is a retired officer who's collecting a pension, he's still beholden to all the military rules and regulations. He's still a commissioned officer for all intents and purposes. So he is now being brought to the point right before court martial. If it proceeds past this, I don't know what it is. It's this officer. It's also for bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But once it gets past this, it's court martial is the next step, which needs to happen to this guy. Now, the judiciary is screwed. We're going to see how damaged the military is if it does get to this point, right? How damaged the justice system within the military is. We know the military's taken a huge hit. I mean, just look. So I read somewhere there were over 14,000 trans members of the military. Did you see this?
I did not see that.
How could this possibly have ever happened? But anyways, we all know, we've talked about the stories ad nauseum, that the military has been damaged really, really badly. Okay. And they're trying to get it sorted out. But you've got, just like you do in these agencies, it's an administrative deep state. And there's an administrative deep state within the military that's going to be very hard to root completely out. And they're in the background working against us on everything. So keep that in mind. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this whole Kelly thing. I mean, first of all, I couldn't believe that ad when I saw it, Stu. I couldn't believe it.
I looked at it, and like I said, whenever I was talking to you on the drive in, and you guys probably remember this as kids, when you would say shh, and your little buddy would say it, and you'd giggle and laugh because together you said shit, but separately neither one of you said anything. So what they would do is one person would talk about, Trump, him bringing National Guard, that's unconstitutional. That's an illegal order. Him doing this, that's an illegal order. He can't do that. And then the next person comes up and says, as military members, it's your job not to follow illegal orders. Oh, I never said Trump was giving them. I just said, hey, just remember that's your obligation. It's this bullshit of, saying it without saying it, even though everybody knows exactly what's going on. Nobody's fooled by this, unless you're a complete mental, deficient. But that's the game they're trying to play. And that's what he's going to try and squirrel and just be a fucking coward about it, instead of being like, if he was a man that was standing on his beliefs and standing on his principles, he would come out and say, no, I believe Trump did ABC, XYZ. I believe it is your obligation to refuse those orders. He won't do it because he's a fucking coward. He's going to play these little word games and try and weasel out of it whenever it's time for accountability.
That whole thing just cracks me up. Alyssa Flock. I'm Alyssa Flotkin. I was a CIA member. She was an intel analyst. That's what she was. Yeah. Okay. So I love just like the power that people think that gives them. It's amazing.
Well, it does for the people that don't know any better.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, side note, So the whole Comey thing, it's a scam. It's highlighting the corrupt judiciary. But you have to remember, and this is the point we keep trying to make, we wouldn't be having these issues if the Republicans in the Senate would do their job. But the Republicans in the Senate are not there doing their job, okay? They are there to thwart Trump because their masters want Trump gone. And I'm telling you, I said this in 2018, I have the same vibes going on now. They're going to toss the midterm elections. They're going to toss it. Why is Trump having to go out on the stump to get these guys elected for them to work against him? Why is that even, with everything on his plate? He has to go out there because nobody likes these dipshits. And the sad thing is, he got a lot of them elected. You know,
I am 100% convinced Republicans don't actually want to be in charge.
No.
They want to be the minority party because then they can fundraise on, we'll fight for you. We'll fight against this. Because every time look what they did with Obamacare. Every one of them that year were elected by their constituents to stop that. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. Every single time the Republicans are given the freaking presidency, the House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court, what happens? Not a damn thing. Mm-hmm. The Democrats in the minority, having nothing, get more done than Republicans do with control of all three branches of government.
Correct.
And it's absolutely correct.
And then they blame, we don't have a big enough margin. So yeah, well, you could get rid of this blue slip thing because the Democrats sure as shit would. No, we're not going to do that. That's just not right. Bullshit. They're not concerned about wrong and right. You could get rid of the filibuster, right? Because the Democrats say that's what they're going to get rid of, right? No,
they've
that's
done
just
it before. The Democrats got rid of it under Harry Reid, and then right before the midterm, when they knew they were going to lose, they reinstituted it.
Yeah,
it's exactly what they did.
Yep.
But
and these are the games they play. Go ahead.
Freedom said that Wiles criticized the article as a hit piece, claiming it lacked context and misrepresented her comments. And he goes on to say, "How could she not know this would happen?" And exactly. It's like Charlie Brown in the football.
Yeah,
you know?
That's exactly what it's like. I mean, if you are that dense to think that you were going to get a fair article and you were going to educate those activists over at Vanity Fair magazine, right? You don't deserve to be the chief of staff to the president of the United States.
Period. You have no political acumen. You're
exactly. So I don't mean to be shitting all over Susie Wiles. Sure, she's a great person. I knew nothing about her except that she was Pat Summerall's daughter, right? And I'm sure she's been in the Republican circles for all of this. Trump needs to bring in an outsider. Trump needs to bring in an ass kicker. Get somebody out of the political arena and just start laying waste. This is what we need to get done because they're going to fool around now. The midterms, everybody's pissed off. The way they handled the Epstein thing, where did that come from? That come from Susie Wiles, right? The way they handled that, right? The way they're handling now, we know that there's something in the background of this whole Epstein thing. You wouldn't have Democrats who didn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Okay, now all of a sudden saying release the Epstein files.
Well,
right?
They had it for 4 years under Biden and not a freaking peep.
So I don't trust any of that bullshit. But then you look when Trump tries to get them unsealed, the grand jury documentation unsealed. Democrat judges stop in and block it, and the media runs cover for the whole thing.
Because when they say they want it released, they mean they want their curated whatever.
Correct.
There were a bunch of pictures came out apparently. But whenever they started digging into them, some of those pictures were from 20 years ago before anything from Epstein had ever come out.
The latest one was they introduced these pictures and they blacked out all the girls' faces. And then they were implying, and this is coming from the Democrats in the House and the Epstein estate. They were implying that these girls were victims. Then it turns out that these girls were the Hawaiian Tropic girls that were taking part in the Miss Universe pageant that Trump owned from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. All of age girls, right? Women, right? And this is the kind of dirt. So the media took this and ran with it everywhere. They ran with it everywhere.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is what Susie Wiles, getting back to that, is expecting to get free or expecting to get fair and honest coverage from. I mean, give me a freaking break. Why isn't Matt Gaetz the chief of staff? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Matt, you need an ass kicker in there and somebody who does not give a shit about stepping on toes, especially in the Republican Party.
No, not even doesn't give a shit about stepping on them. Someone that will just joyfully stomp on them. Yeah, that's what you need.
The Republican, nobody likes the Republican Party. The Republican Party is nothing without Donald Trump. And they don't. So you've got John Thune now, who's doing Mitch McConnell's dirty work for him because he was Mitch McConnell's boy. He was, you know, and this is absolutely insane. And we've got President Trump and some good people in this administration with the whole weight of the world on their shoulders. And we just can't sit back and say, oh, they should be doing this and he should be doing that. Well, I'm not going to show up for the midterms if this and that and the other thing isn't done. We need to get involved. What does that mean? Maybe that means getting on the phone with Republican senators and saying, look, I don't care. I'm not even in your state. But guess what? I will donate to anybody that goes to primary you. Period. Amen. And I will shout it from the highest. I mean, we've got a small little group here, right? But this is effective. And if more and more people have small groups that they go out and shout this to, I will shout from the rooftops. Whoever runs against you, like we said before, you could put up an orange juice can against you. I'm going to vote for the orange juice can, right?
Yeah,
and I'm going to donate.
You'll probably get more use. You'll probably get more use out of the orange juice can than you will somebody that is either woefully incompetent or willfully obstructing. You know what you want done.
Yeah, we need to get rid of these turds. We need to get rid of these turds in the House. We need to get rid of these turds in the Senate, right? We need to be the backup force for Trump, who's trying to save our country for us, right? We need to be his backup force instead of putting pressure on Trump because things aren't getting done the way we wanted them done. Yeah, we have to be smarter than that. We have to understand that Republicans are not our friends. We're going to have to vote Republican, right? We're going to have to vote Republican and retain the House and the Senate. But these people that are in there right now, it is our job to hold their feet to the fire to make sure they support Donald Trump and let them know in no uncertain terms, this gravy train comes to an end. If you don't support our guy, this gravy train comes to an end. I don't care who is pulling your strings. U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Walmart, all of that bullshit. I don't care. We are looking at you, and you are the problem. We are not fooled. So,
well, we've got a couple of other stories here. Most of what we have are some little follow-ups and updates on stories that we've covered and been covering here for a while. You guys remember the judge that tried to smuggle the illegal outside of her courtroom after she was telling the ICE agents that they needed a judicial warrant to arrest someone and sent them on a wild goose chase up to another office to talk to a head judge so she could try and sneak this guy out. Well, it's not going too well for her. Her trial is starting. This is the lovely lady here.
She looks like somebody that you would expect to have done this. Yeah, the only thing she's missing is the purple hair, right?
Honestly, if you change the background, it looked like that would be Methany from the trailer park. But
she looks like a big frickin' toe with some fucking hair strung over it.
A thumb.
Yeah.
But basically, according to filings, Dugan became visibly angry when she learned that ICE agents were waiting outside of her courtroom to arrest Flores. The Democrat-aligned judge directed the illegal alien toward a side exit after learning that agents were positioned to take him into custody. Court filings state that Dugan not only displayed her anger at ICE's presence, but also falsely told law enforcement they needed a judicial warrant to conduct an arrest. Dugan previously attempted to have these charges dismissed, arguing she was acting within her official judicial capacity. So she wanted she wanted immunity. Well, it's like the judges are given a whole lot more immunity than they ever should.
To skirt the laws of our country, she doesn't agree with.
Yeah.
That's what her capacity is.
Yeah, right? she's wanting her official capacity to include deliberately obstructing law enforcement in the execution of a valid arrest warrant.
And speaking of capacity, that bitch looks like she's got a lot of capacity. But go ahead.
But the thing is, the good thing is this is going to trial. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out with everything. But as it states here, as the trial unfolds, the case is drawing national attention for its intersection of judicial conduct, immigration enforcement, and claims of political resistance to federal law. And that's exactly what she was doing. She wasn't acting in her capacity as a judge. She was acting in her capacity as an activist, as a political partisan. She knows what the law is. She knows what they were there to do was legal, but she doesn't like it because it hurts her in her feelings. So she uses the power of her position to obstruct law enforcement. And this says, oh, I need qualified immunity for me breaking law because I'm a judge and I'm better than everybody else. It's disgusting. But yeah, there's the big toe right there.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. It looks like she's missing teeth and all, doesn't it? Yeah, methany. So, you know what? Do we have the Ilhan Omar story? Because that'll plug right into that.
I've got that you sent me. Let me find it. Go ahead and start talking about it. I'll find it.
Ilhan Omar claims her son was pulled over by ICE and let go. Well, now it appears that this was a fib. ICE says we never pulled over her son. So, and why would we pull people over in traffic incidents anyways? So, ICE has absolutely zero records of its officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son. This woman is up to her neck in corruption. Allegedly, she's worth $30 million plus. She was broke when she stepped into Congress back in 2018. Was it 2018? Yeah. And you're not going to get a solid answer here.
No.
5 to 25. And
1
then
to 5 to 25 million.
Yeah. So this is a travesty. But they're all doing this. In all fairness, they're all doing this. Yeah. Allegedly, Marjorie Taylor Greene made $18 million during her time in office. So that ain't right. Ain't right. The Democrats are doing it. That's our money, folks. That is our money.
They are actively using their elected position to their monetary benefit. It is insider trading. If you or I do what they do, we go to prison.
And then if they're there for more than 2 terms, they get a retirement. What is their retirement? Their full salary for the rest of their life? They get this fantastic healthcare program, right? But we ought to look that up. What is a congressman or a senator's retirement after 2 terms? Because that's why Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's what everybody's saying, because she's been there for 5 years, right? So now she doesn't have to finish out her term and she gets retirement.
Right.
So, I mean, this is criminal, but Ilhan Omar is up to her neck in. They're up to $8 billion now, but we know it's more. We know this is more. Okay. And this has been going on for years, set up by the Democratic elites in this state, or in the state of Minnesota, right over from me, right? Right across the river, set up so that these Somalis could take advantage of it. And then in turn, they would keep these Democrat elites in power. And it was your taxpayer money. That was not just Minnesota. There was federal money mixed in with all of it. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. And now there was a viral video that was out there. I kind of wish we had it, where the Hodge twins covered it, but a lot of people were covering this, where it shows two men that have lived in this neighborhood forever in Minnesota, and they've got their houses for sale. And right out in the middle of the street are these Somalis harassing everybody that's going by, including these guys, groups of Somali young men, right?
Youths, Matt.
Yeah. That his taxpayer dollars are going to fund, right? They were all getting free in-state tuition, free, not they were just paying in-state tuition. They were getting free tuition to go to school on top of everything else, free healthcare, free food, free housing, free everything. In addition to that, getting a job where they were paid hardly anything. And they were pushing out the Americans that were working those jobs before, because they did a deal. The corporations did a deal with the state, right? So this whole thing is in America, and they need to go frickin' back. If they have been, like I said, I did this before, not all of them. Somebody came here to be an American. They're doing the right things. God bless you, right? You're coming over here committing fraud. You're pulling this shit right here. You're a drain on the American taxpayer that has been so gracious to you. You go back home.
Well, like you said, Matt, if what we're talking about doesn't apply to you, then we're not talking about you. You know?
Exactly. So, yeah.
We had somebody post up in YouTube that said, let's see, they keep their health care coverage and retirement as their full salary, I think. I tried looking, but it's so I think obfuscated, I can't dig into it.
I believe that is correct. So who said that on YouTube? Well. Who said that?
Milowski Spinner. It's a new. Okay,
thank you, Milowski.
It's a new
because one. I think that's the case. So this is another. This is also another. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a congressman or a senator with this? You work for a few years, $175,000 a year, and then you get that for the rest of your life, and carte blanche on your healthcare system. I mean, it's insane. These people are doing nothing for us. They're doing nothing for us. This is why you shouldn't feel bad. You need to hold their feet to the fire. You need to call your congressman. You need to call other places and say, look, I'm going to get involved in your race. I don't even live in your district. I'm getting involved in your race, though. Whoever, is this legal? Is that legal to do? If it's legal,
why not? I mean, people are donating out of California to Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
don't ever break the law and do this.
Got elected.
But what we need to do is, and you be respectful. You do everything by the law. You don't do anything but, hey, I'm supporting your rival in the midterms. Period. Amen. I said, I don't give a shit who it is. I am supporting your rival. And if it's legal for me to donate money to your rival, I'm donating money to your rival, whether that be $5, whether that be $10, whatever. But if Americans rise up and do this, we can take control of this country, and we can provide support for the administration that is fighting like hell to try to save this country. Right? It's all well and good to be critical, right? But when you don't have the whole story, and none of us do, of what they're actually up against. Now, knowing what the people on this that watch this show know, we understand kind of what they're up against. And we know that the Republicans aren't helping them. They're working against them. They're pretending they're helping them, but they're working against them. So you've got the Democrats, the media, the globalist elite order, right? You've got Republicans, right? And big industry all working against the guy who's standing up for the American worker and American taxpayer, an American patriot, right? So we need to provide the support we can, and that support is to hold these politicians' feet to the fire. Let them know we ain't supporting you. We're supporting your rival in the midterms. And we need to encourage good people to run. And we also need to make them platform that when they get in, they're going to vote for term limits. And they're going to vote against this bullshit, this theft of a retirement package. That is absolutely. So they go there and they collect millions of dollars, and then they get 175 grand a year, no questions asked. Who gets that? Who gets that? Nobody does. These guys do. So these guys are turds. The guy we have sitting in the Oval Office right now isn't taking a dime. He built his own company, made his own money. Right? Any of these turds are going to talk about him, right? Whatever.
And that's just it. Like you hit the nail on the head before, Matt, when you said, the Republican Party would not be anything without Trump. And when you look, it's like you've got Trump, you have J.D. Vance. Who else do you have that has stood out as a leader on the Republican side who is advocating for the things that the vast majority of the people that got Trump elected, that got the Republicans the White House twice, some would say 3 times, what have they stepped up and said, this is what I believe, this is what I support, this is how, nobody.
Well, a lot of them are giving you lip service now. Outside the administration, I think what you're asking.
Yes.
A lot of them give the lip service, and they'll say, "Oh, I support Trump," and They'll go on TV and they'll say, "I support this," and MAGA this, and I'm support. They're full of shit. They're full of shit. We've got a handful of dudes working in the House. I don't know if we have a handful of dudes in the Senate, to be honest with you, or women. Right? I don't think we do. I think they're mostly in unison working against us. That's why when it came up, remember Thune? It was like almost unanimous. They voted for him to be the majority leader. And it's like, he's one of the worst of the worst. He's Mitch McConnell's right-hand man.
Yeah. He's a turd in his own right.
That's what people think of the Republican Party. They think of Tom Tillis. They think of Lindsey Graham. They think of John Thune, right? Yeah, that's who they think of. Milk toast, mealy mouth, shady, backstabbing, got some sort of side deal somewhere else, not sticking up for us.
You've got these guys that are 115 years old that have been there for 30, 40 years and have done absolutely nothing. They have rolled over. They have capitulated to the Democrats every chance they get. And people continue to reelect them. It's mind-blowing.
Well, Chuck Grassley today is getting all this credit, Stu, for this anti-child trafficking. Great. That should go without fucking saying. Okay? That should go without. But he wants a little pat on the back. While at the same time, he's working against Donald Trump, who's trying to uncover the biggest child trafficking network in history through this illegal bullshit.
Yeah.
How many kids, how many hundreds of thousands of kids did the Biden administration lose track of? They stopped doing DNA testing, so you don't know who these people were bringing them over. Right?
Yep, you don't know who they were going to. They just call whatever number was written on the kid's arm, and somebody would show up or they'd send the kid off. It's bizarre.
So Chuck Grassley's all for introducing this bill, which he gets the accolades for, but in order to do the real work to really capture these guys and get them out of our freaking country, no, he's working against Donald Trump because he's got a blue slip that he's supposed to honor.
He wants the headline. He doesn't want the actual work that would need to be done to make it happen. He wants the headline. He wants the credit for
over substance. Symbolism over substance. Rush Limbaugh used to always say this, but that's all these guys are.
Yeah. Well, one of the other stories we've been talking about here was everybody's all up in arms about Trump sending in the National Guard. But the main thing, or the main place they were
I'm not up in arms over it.
What's that?
I'm not up in arms over it. Well, that's what I voted for. Yeah.
But the main issue that everybody was squawking about was whenever he sent the National Guard in D.C. and they're like, "Oh, D.C. doesn't need it. D.C.'s great." And we had talked about the fudging of the crime data. Well, it looks like it is going all the way up to this isn't just, captains and commanders and all this, which we talked about when this first came out, that there's no captain that's just going to go out and make these decisions on his own, that he's going to tell his subordinates to lie on reports, to misrepresent things. It was being directed from above, and here it comes right here. Bombshell oversight report accuses the DC chief of rigging crime data. And when you read down into this story,
look, first of all, when I think of badass fucking street gristled cops, I'm thinking of a aging lesbian, not in shape. Is that what we're really supposed to think of, running these police departments? We're seeing a theme.
That is the best and the brightest, Matt.
New Orleans. We're seeing themes with these everywhere. But yeah, best and the brightest. Alleged lesbian, but I don't know. Was that a man? Was I wrong there? Was that a man?
Matt, you can't ask. You have to wait for them to tell you.
Yeah, it's Pat.
So this report reveals that the chief pressured and at times directed commanders to manipulate crime data in order to maintain the appearance of low crime in the nation's capital. The testimony from the commanders also describe an environment under Chief Smith marked by fear, intimidation, threats, and retaliation. What they would say as an example.
You know why we're seeing the same theme with these bullshit police chiefs they're putting in all over the place, because they didn't earn that job. Okay, they don't know how to lead people. They don't know how to lead an organization. So the only thing they do know how to do is threats, intimidation, and anything else they can use to put pressure on people to get their way. That's their leadership style: threats, intimidation, and blackmail. That's there we go.
Yeah, they don't know how to lead by inspiration. They lead by threats and intimidation.
And they're definitely not leading by example, for sure.
No. So what this one commander said, he said, when I first took over the district, I would see a call come in for a burglary, and I would look down on my commander report, and I would see it was classified as an unlawful entry and theft. I'd go read the report, and it would read like a burglary. It would say so-and-so came home after a day out and found their door open and their TV missing from the wall. That's the elements of a burglary. Is it also an unlawful entry and theft? Technically, but the proper charge will be burglary. But unlawful entry does not hit the DCR status of burglary.
I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. In most states, burglary of a dwelling, especially if somebody was at home, right? So if it's an attached garage, that's a dwelling. If it's a detached garage, it's different. Burglary of a dwelling, especially if somebody's home, in most states, is usually a felony. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is, I think, key to this, but go ahead.
So, but what they were saying is a burglary it hits this DCR status, and all unlawful entry does not. So he says, so maybe my burglaries are down, even though I had a ton of unlawful entries. So they're reclassifying the crimes so that they don't get reported to the ones that show up in the stats.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that commanders were required to prepare for and attend mandatory crime briefings where they were scrutinized both in person twice weekly and via video calls 3 times a week in front of all their colleagues for high crime numbers. But presenting Chief Smith with spikes in publicly reported crimes would often lead to individual meetings in which commanders or assistant chiefs were again berated and pressured by Chief Smith and her command staff to improve their crime numbers. So it wasn't
that means don't do your job.
Well, it wasn't improve the numbers by improving the safety of the city. It was improve your numbers by falsifying data. They didn't give a shit about the people. It was all of how does it look? How does it appear? And that's exactly what they did. And like I said, we talked about this, Matt. I remember specifically, we said there's nobody, there's no captain, there's no lieutenant, there's no anybody that's just going to go out there and stretch their own neck out and tell their guys to falsify this is coming from higher up. And there it is right there.
There's something else. You know, something else we need to talk about? That story
What's
up
that?
in the right-hand corner. It said video. No, go back. It said TGP's Jim Hoff joins Matt Gaetz on OAN to discuss the alleged J6 pipe bomber and his fetish with My Little Pony. Do we need to discuss My Little Pony on here?
No, I'm good. I don't need any My Little Pony.
Okay,
Not my
well, you
jam.
know, I didn't want to bring up your fetish with My Little Pony.
Hey, don't judge. Don't judge. But yeah, and we've discussed this. We knew what was up when this first came out. We knew it had to come from higher up, and it looks like it comes from. Yeah. What's going to be curious now? I'm not sure who she works for. Yeah. I'm not sure who she works for, who she reports to, but it's going to be interesting to see if she rolls over on anybody else, the mayor of DC maybe, and say that who was directing her. I
wonder what her salary is, by the way.
I don't know.
I wonder how much money she's fleecing the people of Washington, D.C. of. No, because she ain't doing her job. There. I mean, that should be public.
Oh, it's only $270K base.
Look at that. Yeah. She's definitely worth $270K, folks. Definitely. So
yeah, I can guarantee you it's more than that with overtime and
bonus.
And I would say it's at least $500 a year. Minimum.
And then what do you think? What do you think her retirement will be? What do you think?
I don't know, because I don't know how that retirement works, because they don't stay in that position. These chiefs move around.
No. Here's how that works. I'll tell you. Okay, because they'll get multiple retirements, by the way, if they stay in places long enough. Okay, here's how I think it works. Okay. So they usually it'll be 60% of your top 5. Okay. So they'll average your top 5 earning years, and then you'll get 60% of whatever that was. Right. So if her top 5, whatever job she had, or I don't know how long she's been police chief. She's been police chief for 5 years, making 270 plus. It'll be the actual number, which will include bonus and whatever. Right. It'll be a percentage of that, 60% of that. So I guarantee you her retirement is really healthy. And
how does that work if she was police chief down in New Orleans for 3 years, and then comes to DC and does it for 4 years, and then goes to Chicago and does it?
What she would have done is, it depends on the state laws for retirement for law enforcement, because if she was vested, if she was down there, she was vested in 10 years, she would get a retirement from New Orleans. That's kind of laid out the same way, but a little bit different, right? Because she wasn't there the full time. And then she'd get another one coming up here. And then that would probably be the negotiations for the new job, right? But I have a feeling she's from DC, though.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, usually the ones that bounce around have already reached retirement age, and they're collecting a retirement.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
Well, one of the other stories I wanted to get to before we end here. There's an Obama appointed judge here that's facing backlash for praising.
She looks just like you would expect her to look. I mean, this is almost comical. Yeah.
All she needs is the Ruth Bader Ginsburg doily around her neck.
Yeah, exactly.
But facing backlash for praising
looks like she's had something
illegal
around her neck.
rapist. Yeah. But what happened here, we had a illegal immigrant, 30-year-old Honduran, convicted of raping a woman.
Appointed as the first open lesbian U.S. district. I mean, that's obviously promotion material now. Openly lesbian. And bullshit, she's the first open. My ass. Go ahead.
Well, you got to read all the way down in the Eastern District of Michigan.
Yeah.
But anyway, this guy was convicted of raping a woman with cerebral palsy and cognitive delays. He's faced multiple deportations and illegal re-entry into the U.S. at least 7 times. This judge reduced his sentence by 2 years, sparing him additional time in prison. During the sentence, the judge praised the illegal immigrant, calling him an ambassador for living up to our immigration restrictions. This illegal immigrant was convicted of dragging his cognitively impaired victim into the laundry room of her apartment building before committing the sexual assault. But here she is, this guy that's been removed from this country 7 times, comes back in, rapes a disabled individual. This judge is going to praise them. It is absolutely degenerate behavior.
Well, who can deal with these criminal judges? Where's the only levers that can deal with these people?
Impeachment through the House, and impeachment through Congress.
Yeah, the Senate deals with them, and the Senate won't deal with them. The Senate could also put punitive actions against her right now, but they won't do it. They won't do it because
again, this shows you nothing but an activist judge. Judge Levy defended her decision, commending Diaz for supposedly taking responsibility for his family and for his work in the United States. I commend you for supporting your family, for expressing your devotion to them, and for working here into the United States in jobs that Americans apparently do not want to work in. This
bitch needs to be deported. Yeah,
that is the liberal talking point.
Yeah, I mean, show another picture of this woman. Look at this demon here.
She looks absolutely to be a miserable human being.
Yeah, she absolutely is. She's a disgrace. There should be repercussions. I mean, imagine the family of this woman. And imagine this woman, I mean, listening to this bullshit. The guy who dragged a disabled woman with cerebral palsy into a frickin' laundry room and raped her, and he's getting commended by this horrible bitch.
You're right. Imagine, it was the same as the one where the judge was trying to run the guy out the back door. He was there for a crime. The victim's family was there for the court proceeding, and she's protecting him.
Yeah.
Forget the victim. It's all about
if you allow these judges to get away with this, you're on their side. You're on their side. Yeah. And I keep pounding on this. The Republicans are the real reason for this. We already know where the Democrats stand. These are the Republicans that are lying to you, pretending that they're working for us, pretending that they're supporting Donald Trump, right? That's all they're doing. They're actively working against Trump. They're working against the will of the people that voted for Trump, which is the majority of us. And they're working against the American people. So once again, these politicians, their feet must be held to the fire because we need a whole new crew. We need a whole new crew. These ones aren't working, and they're not going to work, right? So we need to make sure that these people know you support Trump now, or we will support whoever runs against you. We'll support the orange juice can that runs against you in your primary, right? Whether my small donation of $5 means anything or not, there's millions of us. There's 80 million of us, folks.
Yeah, so, you get enough folks donating $5, it makes a difference. But
so
we've got a few comments before we close up for the evening. Freedom saying he's finding conflicting information regarding senators' pensions. He's saying it's not the $174K a year. He says he found that no member of Congress is eligible for his or her pension unless he or she has served for at least 5 years. Then it says most congressmen can, the most a congressman can earn after leaving their office is 80% of their final salary. So 80% of 174 is what? 140K a year?
No, 80. You're going to make me do math. Are you kidding me? I'll do it. Hold on. I got a calculator.
Do it, Matt. Well, 80% of 100 would be 80.
Hold on. 170.
About 130, 125, 130.
140. Yeah.
Yep.
You're right. Good. That was a good guess, dude.
Good guess. I've never been good at math, so I figured out ways to get close enough for government work.
Yeah. So boo-hoo. 140 freaking grand. Marjorie Taylor
the rest
Greene.
of your life, for working 6 years, 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would be what? 3 terms as a representative, 1 term as a senator.
Yeah. No, she wasn't a senator.
No, I'm saying 3 terms as a representative or 1 term as a senator.
So 1 term as senator, your goal once you pass that 5-year mark. Yep.
And Troy must have been looking at the DC deal the same time we were. Yep, 270. And about the judge, Troy said it's the bitter liberal bitch face, and that's
exactly
what the judge had.
Bitter liberal resting bitch face.
Yeah. But
absolutely miserable.
And like Matt said, there needs to be, and I understand that you don't want judges snatched off the bench because you just don't agree with them or they didn't rule in the way you wanted them to rule. That has nothing to do with this right here. I mean, what this judge did with the illegal immigrant trying to sneak them away from ICE, what this judge is doing by literally making political statements from the bench, just word vomiting the liberal talking points.
Well,
and
Stu, a judge needs to follow the rule of law. A judge needs to follow the Constitution. These judges are not doing any of this. No. Right? They're not doing any of it. It's activism from the bench. That is, they need to be removed. Period. You know. So, there needs to be a review of these judges. I don't know if there is. If it is, it's not effective. And look at their cases and what they're doing, because I can see they're only human, so people do make mistakes. But when you see consistent steamrolling over the rule of law and the Constitution and victims rights, no, then you go.
Absolutely.
So, we need to get back to common sense in this country. There's too many things that are so convoluted. I'm just going to talk about this real quick. Dave Ramsey's show, right? Yeah. This clip went viral. A woman called in on Dave Ramsey's show, and she was saying, "I don't know what I'm going to do this year because my money is significantly. I've been making so much money." And they're like, "What do you do?" "Well, I'm a consultant to NGOs that work in the public." What was she? She was using all of these like consulting terms, talking about she's a facilitator. So when we decide that we're going to give money to some country for something, right, it goes through an NGO, and she's the facilitator between the NGO. So she gets a cut, the NGO gets a cut, and then whoever down that we're sending the money to gets a cut. It's all bullshit, right? The Trump administration is getting rid of that. So she was on bitching to Dave Ramsey's show about this, and then she took the opportunity to basically go after Trump, right? And was talking about the tariffs and the whole nine. And they're like, what does that have to do with any of this? And what does that have to do with your situation? You know what I mean? You basically made this career of he didn't say this, but this is what this woman did. She has a career based off of sluicing off taxpayer money just as part of this whole grift that was set up by the liberal globalist elite to pay off those in the chain of in the chain of custody of this money, right? In order to keep the whole grift going, so everybody got paid, right?
Oh yeah, she's just taking a cut to spread our money around to other people. She's the middleman in the payoff is basically what it is.
Exactly. And this is how we ran things forever. And the only way we deal with this bullshit, and guess what? The Republicans in the House and the Senate want to keep that system going. Not all of them, but the majority do.
Yeah, because
So,
the money comes back to them. It goes to these NGOs. It gets siphoned off, and then it goes around to political action committees.
To live on 140 grand a year retirement, without making their $30 million every few years in insider trading. How are you going to make a living?
Expected to live on $140,000 a year? These
people they're very few of them are talented individuals that could go out and make shit happen on their own. So they've got the ultimate grift, and they're getting rich on our taxpayer dollars.
Well, that's why they were so adamant to get Doge shut down. That's why everybody was squealing about Doge, was because it was shining the light on it. Mm-hmm. It was showing everybody.
Now, they want you to think Doge is shut down. I don't think it is. I think Doge is still alive and kicking. Just not as out in the forefront. But
I hope so.
Anyways, the theme of this, everybody should watch tomorrow night what's going on. I don't know if it's going to be about the 2020. Apparently there's a whole trove of data, but the media is going to try to immediately go against it.
You're talking about Trump's speech tomorrow?
Trump's speech tomorrow night. Yeah. We need to all watch it and then just see what the hell it is. I'm interested to see what's going on. There's a total blockade right now of Venezuela too. We didn't talk about that tonight, but they're putting pressure. There's more than drugs in Venezuela. Okay, just think of voting machines. I'm not going to mention the name, where they were developed, and why they were developed. That's also part of this. Human trafficking, drug trafficking. It's all enveloped in there. Oil. We had oil leases down there that were stolen, right? And supplying our enemies, and also providing a haven for our enemies in this hemisphere. These are all things that are wrapped up in Venezuela. This is why the globalist elite Democrats are kicking back so hard about drug runners running boats getting smoked, right?
Yeah, I think weren't there 3 more boats that got smoked here in the past couple of days?
Keep smoking them, and start taking their oil too. This guy needs to go. He has destroyed that country. That was the wealthiest country in Latin America. Do you know that?
Yeah. It absolutely was.
So now they're eating zoo animals. I mean, they just So anyways, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a patriot. We say this every single time. Thank you for putting up with Stu's, right? And mine. And thank you for being here and being a patriot. That's really what I want you guys to walk away with. You guys are patriots. You care about this country. You're educated about this country. You're educating other people about this country. This is a tiny little show. It's all full of faults and flaws and everything else. But thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for being here, and hope to see you next week. And live in freedom every day.
Absolutely. We appreciate everybody showing up. Again, apologies for the screw up and the relaunch, but we got everybody in, got everything sorted. We appreciate you. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
And